everybody. I'm Captain Brent Brooks, and my presentation today is on HighRise Firefighting Tactical to Practical. I'm excited to be able to present to Firebuyer. This interaction motivates me to continue researching best known practices. This is my bio here. It describes my 28 years career as a firefighter. It also describes my T70 Tall Building Safety Committee based out of London, England. Also talks about my membership to the Council of Tall Building and Urban Habitats. I believe that even today, I'm the only boots on the ground firefighter who is a member. I did this because I recognized that there was a disconnect between engineers, architects, and designers and firefighters. My research is helping educate both parties. As a researcher, I need to receive feedback in order to fact check what I'm doing is accurate. So I've been able to, go to over 37 fire departments, speak at 17 different conferences, mingle, and get to find out what we are doing as best known practices. It's really turned into a hobby for me, but it's important that I get that feedback so I can be more professional in my standards and research. That's our truck there. That's Toronto's HighRise response trucks. We have two. They're staffed 24 hours a day, and they go to all HighRise fires. You can also do special tactics and nozzles with this particular truck as well on residential house fires. As far as our city goes, Toronto is a big city with 6.3 million people. Toronto is also one of only 3 cities in the world without a dominant ethnic or culture group. We have 85 stations. We have over 3,000 high-rise buildings, 3,000 firefighters, over 1,000 skyscrapers. So that's the 300-meter mark. And we certainly have a lot of low-rise buildings, too, in the number around 6,000. As far as what a firefighter in Toronto, that's us there. Toronto firefighters, we come in all different shapes, sizes, and physical capabilities. And in my case, it's age. As far as the pride of our fleet right now goes, it's our 70-meter, so 230-foot tower truck. It works in combination with our HighRise response unit as well as our technical rescue. So we've added layers onto your typical aerial device. As far as what got me into this whole HighRise firefighting thing is back in 2010, I thought I knew there was to know everything about HighRise firefighting. If you ever get to a point in your career where you think you know everything, it's time for a reality check or a recheck. And in my case, it was this fire here. We almost lost 2 firefighters. It was my crew that got into trouble, and we had another firefighter near misses. And this was a 8-hour HighRise fire. And you can look at the picture in the background. It looks fairly routine. However, it wasn't. This is when I started my investigation. When I started my investigation, you can see in yellow there, I wrote down verbatim all the radio traffic that came in that day. And I can tell you that this was a textbook run fire. It was absolutely flawless. We did everything correct that day. But why did it take 8 hours? And that's when I started really researching other fires as well. At the end of this fire, we were told it was simply wind impacted with a flow path. That is HighRise firefighting. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a challenge. I went all the way back to actually the Forest Laneway fire in Toronto, and this happened in 1995. Unfortunately, 6 people died in this fire. You won't be able to read that article. I just have it there for fact checking. But even after this fire, we determined that it was wind impacted. It had a flow path. We threw everything we had at it, and we fought this fire. And I continued my research. I just want everyone to know that to make errors is human, to worry about those errors is compassion, and to do something about those errors is professionalism. And that's where I like to hold myself. There's a fantastic article in the Toronto Star called Fire in the Sky, and it'll talk about everything in my presentation, but it breaks it down a little bit neater, maybe for a format as far as exactly what type of equipment we are, how we made that change, and a little bit of the history behind it. So it's a great article. It's interactive and has lots of videos. So please check that out. It'll add to the presentation. As far as multiple alarm fires go in Toronto, we are getting better. I kind of start around the 6-alarm fire mark, and we'll slowly work our way down to the 2nd alarm. And it just shows that our research and our ability to evolve is certainly working for us. So there are some fires there. Obviously, there's 12 people that died in some of these fires in total, 58 sent to hospital and 1 in 1981. But we're certainly learning, and all these pictures are from Toronto. This fire here at 650 Parliament, it was the second fire in this building in 11 months. And it was a year and 3 months before residents were allowed back in it. If you look there, what are those firefighters bringing in? Well, it's a 100-pound CO2 extinguisher. We threw everything we could at this particular fire. This is the Queen's Quay fire. After researching this fire, and I was on the big line for this, we realized the importance of flow and what big water can do at these type of fires. So we actually made quick work of this. This fire here, the Christmas Day Mayday at Thorncliffe Park, we realized after studying this fire the importance of pre-staging equipment and resources. So in this case, the RIT team, who rescues firefighters, were pre-deployed. They were waiting in the event of emergency, and when it did happen, they were able to rescue this firefighter. We go back to 2010. It's the small picture on the right. It was a 6-alarm fire. Now we're back at the exact same building in 2019, and it's a 4-alarm fire. It was wind impacted as well, and the firefighters' thermal alarms were going off. But what we learned from this fire was that our door control techniques were working. We needed to improve our our water flow, and our positive pressure isolation techniques are working. So we're getting better. This 5th alarm here, this is the first time that the floor below nozzle was used for its intended purpose. And after it was deployed, within seconds, we were able to put out 3 stories worth of fire. So we're getting better. Even though this is a 5th alarm fire, it's the studying and the research that helps us make tomorrow's best known practices. This fire here, what we learned from this fire was the importance of reach of stream, the importance of the smoothbore nozzle, the myths behind disrupting the thermal balance or thermal layer. And that was a 5th alarm fire. This fire here, you'll just see a video playing. This was a 3rd alarm fire. It was a building under construction. We had the 15th and 16th floor alight, and we're now getting better. It only went to a 3rd alarm. We had a podium, rooftops on fire from the fallen debris, but we learned that our improvised standpipe, the proper volume of water, and our tactics were finally starting to come together. When I do travel the world, and I go from fire station to fire station, I ask the firefighters to tell me about their stories, and they all say, hey, I was at that fire, and I can tell you that every firefighter there was aggressive. The fire just didn't want to go out, and I asked that question, but why? I was in Chicago this past May for a Council of Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat meeting, and we learned about construction. We learned about what architects, designers, and engineers are doing. I had to be able to develop the tactics and kind of connect those dots. And the future of high-rise buildings truly is timber frame construction. I know now from how we've evolved in our city that we are prepared because we have the reach of stream, the volume of water, the multiple tactics, and what's critical is the ergonomics to go along with it. I was also in London, England in May 2022 at the Tall Building Fire Safety Conference, and we learned that buildings are becoming more unique with the fact that we're making exterior metal wall cladding. So we have to be prepared for that. Why are we doing this? Why are we making these unique buildings? We're doing it because cities are competing for the world's best minds and talented people. That's a reality. Fire departments need to adapt to these changes. Who wants to live in a boring city, right? Let's make our buildings interesting. If we look at our new construction, if we look at the way our tactics have changed, this is a four buildings on one podium. So it looks like 4, but it's really one giant building. So we have a very good chance. The last picture was during the day. This is a picture at night. You can see the floor plates changes. We have commercial, we have residential, we have mixed use and industrial just in those buildings alone. What type of response are we going to send to this? We looked at the science of research and investigation. I spoke with Paul Grimwood actually at London, England at a conference, and I really enjoyed his book, Euro Firefighter 2, because it talked about this primary flow gradient. And it basically talks about the BTUs or megawatts coming off a fire and how much water is required. So what type of fire are we able to extinguish as far as firefightings go? And I'm going to get into this a little bit more. We also looked at the BTUs. We also looked at our hose and nozzle size, our tip size, how many gallons per minute or gallons per second we can put out. And we wanted to be in that, you'll see that 2.5-inch hose line with a 1 1/8 tip flowing 266 gallons per minute. with a 41,000 BTU knockdown, that's where we want to be as far as high-rise firefighting goes. History tells us this. Unfortunately, it was the nozzle reaction, and we'll struggle with 100 pounds when we pick this hose and nozzle package. So we still had to research. When we looked at our recruits and we looked at firefighters around the world and how we handled hose, we had to switch to a hit and move technique. We did it because we wanted to get rid of nozzle reaction. We wanted to use the advantage of a reach of stream, the volume of water, but most importantly, you saw 5 firefighters on that line and you see 1 on this. The difference is the ergonomics and how we've changed. It's no secret I do travel around the world. This was in Houston, Texas, and we took all different hose and nozzle manufacturers, different tip sizes, and we went out on the fire ground and we tested it with like-minded firefighters. And this is what we do as far as researchers go. So we are getting better. That video just ended, but you'll see in the top left, we were doing high pressure pumping, and that was new for me. This is what it looks like flowing water from this 52nd floor. Again, we're doing R&D and we're testing our theories. Science has caught up to the fire service. We know a lot more than we used to know. Those 2 barrels, we can fill that every 6 seconds with one particular nozzle. The barrel on the left, we can fill that in 13 seconds. And that's the attack nozzle that we're using for high-rise firefighting. That video that played in the background showed the other different nozzle tips and sizes and how many liters or how many gallons per minute we're capable of putting on a fire. But we also have to test it, flow it, move it, and trial it. So in our city, that's a burn cell there. We wait for it to flash over. We flow the full potential of our nozzle, and you'll notice we get a 6-second knockdown with a fire that size. We went back to Paul Grimwood's primary flow gradient, and we put our hose and nozzle packages on it. And we realized that before, you'll see that red bag with yellow hose, we're only flowing 132 gallons per minute, so around 500 liters per minute. Now with our hose and nozzle package, we're capable of flowing 1,000 liters per minute, 264 gallons per minute. And without changing our hose and nozzle package, simply by replacing what's on the tip, we're able to flow 2,000 liters per minute, so 528 gallons per minute of one hose line. So our tactics have changed. Because we're using the big line, because we're flowing big water, when we have to do a tactics change, we have 8 different options right there. We're simply replacing what's on the tip. No need to stretch a new hose line. The big line's already down. We just replace what's on the tip and we can do a tactics change. This has been a game changer for high-rise firefighting. When we looked at our tactics, and I went to the city's planning department, and it was basically you picked any one of these 5 buildings, go ahead and build them, and we did. So these are pictures from our city. We developed our high-rise tactics around them, but we were slow to change as buildings change. We have since caught up. Why? Because these are what today's buildings look like. In the past, we had our residential buildings, our commercial buildings, our mixed use, but these buildings are becoming more complex with assemblies and institutionals, with institutionals like your hospitals and nursing homes, detention center, courts, high schools, you name it. These are vertical cities now within cities, and we needed to come up with a consistent response. There's my high-rise thesaurus. Again, wide rises, vertical villages, high-rise buildings on its side, ground scrapers, standpipe equipped building. When we get into timber frame construction, we talk ply rises and toothpick towers. What type of hose and nozzle package or response are we sending to these mixed-use buildings? We have a plan for that. We took all problem areas in high-rise firefighting. There they are there. You will be successful if you answer all 12 of these problems. We have the tactics and equipment, plan A, plan B, for all 12 of these problems in our city. We also started timing everything we did, not for the competition part of it, but for the science. So we know how long it takes us to get to the call, but we didn't know how long it took to get to the fire or alarm location. We call this our vertical response time. We now know in our city it takes 6 minutes. The NFPA standard, our turnout times are 2 minutes to get out of the station. Our arrival time is generally 4 minutes on travel to meet this NFPA standard. So really, after we get notified of the fire, it's taking us 6 minutes to get there. Once we get there, it's taking us additional 6 minutes actually to get up top. Now that we've timed everything, now that we have some science behind it, we know that firefighters have to make entry, they have to go to lobby, they have to check out the CFCF room, they have to gain control of the elevators. We also have to stretch the line and flow water. So we need to know what we can do within the 12 minutes while this is happening. We had to predict and forecast what the next 12 minutes would look like now that we have the science. So we know now in our city, our plan A is we will be using the building's fire pump. Our plan B will be using the fire truck's pump. Our plan C is we'll be pumping into the valve outlet if it'll accept it. And if not, the two crews that went up, they have 8 different options now for an improvised standpipe because of this hose and nozzle package that we picked. We can actually do this immediately. There's a fire 6 lines off a HighRise, initially protecting it and then going for extinguishment. And it's because of our hose and nozzle package. We looked at our exterior staging, our lobby staging, and our forward staging. And because of our past fires, we realized that we need to get these drop zones and resources and equipment pre-staged in the event things got worse. This is what a full deployment of our HighRise unit looks like. There's your patient evacuation, our fans, our battery packs, our RITs, our smoke blockade curtains, the list goes on, but this stuff is pre-deployed within the building. We looked at the troubleshooting. When we set up our fans for positive pressure isolations and the building's electrical system fails, like it did in this case, we have our battery packs to back us up, gives us an extra 20 minutes of troubleshooting. That's what our staging floor will look like. Everything you see on a fire truck will be 2 floors below. We're taking an 80-story building, let's say, and making it a 3-story residential house. That's how we reduce our reaction time and our reflux time. As far as the kit goes, we know that firefighters come in all different shapes, sizes, and physical capabilities. We needed to lower our weight. So each one of our hoses weighs 20 pounds. The kit weighs 22 pounds. When we do our drag, our high heat, low drag, worst case scenario goes to 80 pounds, and 80 pounds is the size of an adolescent. We want our firefighters to be able to do that, and they can. This is what it looks like, our first 2 crews. That gives us an improvised standpipe right off the hop because each firefighter is carrying 5 stories worth of hose. Our equipment requirements, we need elevator control. That's what our first in crew will take. That's what our second in crew will take. They're actually both duplicated. When we get up to the fire floor, this is what it's going to look like here. We're going to have 5 firefighters going down range with the exact same equipment, with the ability to do an improvised standpipe up to 30 stories. Our next third in crew, they'll do medical, IRIT, smoke control, and stretching. And this supports this whole process. And this has been a success for us. That third in crew is controlling smoke. As far as the improvised standpipe, that's what it looks like there. No special equipment needed. We drop it. We have that webbing in the bag. It forms a nice kink-free hose. The video on the left just shows how quickly we can call for water, and we have a kink-free hose. The video on the right shows a drill that we do where we simulate going up to the fire floor, having no water. The kit that we already have on it gets dropped out a window or dropped down a stairwell, and we can immediately do an improvised standpipe. As far as this is a draft copy, but we took each individual stretch that we do as firefighters, a well hole stretch, an exterior stretch, a closed well stretch, and we looked at the hydraulics of it and what type of water that we can get. So in some cases, yes, we will have to stretch 4-inch hose, 100 mil hose to get us to 30 stories in the event of a catastrophic problem. We really looked at the reach of stream because we can hit water from the exterior. We took all our different monitors on our city, our hose lines, and we figured out where we could get on the exterior of the building if we had to. So we know with Tower 1, with our reach of stream, we can get up to 35 stories. If you notice in the picture, there's the floor below nozzle just above it. That floor below nozzle gets used for the outer reach streams. So our playbook for HighRise firefighting has expanded so much, but there's a hose and nozzle package that allows us to do all those different tactics, including exterior attack. As far as exterior control goes, you'll see this video here. We have a couple Bresnan distributors for exterior cladding and wind-impacted fire. We have the cockloft nozzle, which we're actually calling the opposing tip nozzle. The floor below nozzle you'll see flowing there. We're calling that the bent tip. So this is the Bresnan distributor in action. It was for an exterior fire going up the outside of the building, and we deployed the Bresnan from the roof, and it was successful. You can see firefighters trying to flick water around the corner with their hose lines again, but the Bresnan certainly worked at this particular exterior fire. If we looked at wind, now we have door control. We have, there's our Bresnan distributor. We have smoke blockade curtains, but multiple tactics. There's 5 different things just in this one slide alone that we're doing for effects of wind. We have the ability now to add to the front section of our hose and nozzle package. This eliminates firefighters back on the pinch points, but now we can move that heavy line because really we're only moving 50 feet of charged line at a time. And we have the ability to add to the front. So this has been a game changer for us. It might look weird to you, that picture on the left, but that's basically a charged hose line. There was no need to shut it down. We simply added to the front of that, opened the bail and secured it, and we just did a tactics change or added a length of hose. For catastrophic building system failures, we have 4 fire suppression tools and a portable CAF system that backs that up. And that's if we can get no water in the building. We've had a catastrophic failure where we have no water. The science that we took into that, we took the 3 big cities in North America. We looked at the average size square footage. We broke down residential 8-foot ceilings and commercial 12-foot ceiling height and realized that we need 4 of these fire suppression tools. And then we back it up with our portable CAF system. This is what it would look like on the fire floor: door control, 4 fire suppression tools, our portable CAF system, and the picture on the right is a powered stair climber that we use to carry that 300-pound CAF system. Why do we do all these different tactics? Why do we have all these different layers? Well, this is a building in my first run area. The Bresnan may not work. The floor below nozzle may not work. Depends on what floor and what balcony you're on. This is why we needed all these different layers, but the ability to get water. And that's why we picked the hose and nozzle package that we did. So thank you very much. Again, my name is Brent Brooks. There's my email. Please feel free to reach out to me. I also run the website, HighRiseFirefighting.com. Again, it's been a pleasure to be on Firebuyer 2023. Thank you.
So thank you, Brent, for another powerful session. I just had some questions, if we could have a quick little catch up. For any firefighters watching today, what would your main piece of advice be for them?
I think the biggest piece of advice is to continue your education. Don't just look at the fire itself. Look at all the other layers around it. And one big layer is the smoke control. It's the smoke that eventually kills people inside these high-rise buildings. So we can control the smoke. We can control the building. We can control compartmentalization and figure out the evacuation. You'll be a lot more successful. So continue to educate, continue to read, and look around the world. And if we can piece this together, we'll all be successful. I'm a boots on the ground firefighter. We need to do this.
And are other fire departments also using the knowledge that you've gained from these fires and applying them to their cities?
We are, and my research did start worldwide. I narrowed the focus down to our city because it gives it more evidence as far as teaching our firefighters go. But firefighters are doing this because of social media. We have the ability now to share. It's actually becoming rapid. The change is becoming rapid because of technology.
And similarly, you mentioned a lot of the issues that you face was the volume of water or the water flow. So what happens if we need to reduce the amount of water used in firefighting? Sustainability is quite a big topic at the moment.
It is a big thing, and every city has different water mains, different flows, different tactics. I was just in Dubai. They're using water tankers versus hydrants, so they know they have that positive control. They know they're getting water. We have good mains in our city, but the important is if you're not able to put that type of volume of water or that reach a stream on the fire, we're now controlling the compartmentalization, and we're stopping that fire spread, and we're getting people out of the building. So depending on what your water source and supply is, your tactics are going to change a little bit different.
And your department and many other like-minded firefighters are continuously evolving on firefighting tactics, as we've seen. So aside from the change in building structures that you mentioned in your presentation, what do you think some of the other major challenges could be in the future?
Well, the taller we make these buildings, it's great. And we have elevators, and we have water, and we have sprinkler systems. It's when those building systems failure, what do we do as firefighters? There's no one coming to help us, and we're human just like everybody else, and we have limitations in our physical capabilities. So we need to figure out, are we using powered stair climbers? Are we using battery backups? If that building system fails, what do we need to do? And that's something we're working on globally.
I, for one, definitely wouldn't be able to climb up all those stairs.
No.
So for anybody else watching today, if you want to talk to Brent further, please connect with him on the platform. And also, Brent, if people want to talk to you face to face to help develop their own tactics, which live shows might you be attending next?
I'm a big fan of County Fire Tactics right now. I've been going there for I guess over 10 years. I've been going to HROC and Water on the Fire. He's changed the names, but it's countyfiretactics.com. I do hands-on presentation there. Any fire department calls me. I donate my time in the name of research because I need to find out best known practices, what you're doing. So yeah, just give me a call, reach out. My email, HighRiseFirefighting.com. Again, all my time is donated so we can research, so we can develop these tactics. So yeah, help yourself, reach out, contact me, and let's share information.
Well, thank you. I know we definitely appreciate your time, and I'm sure the industry does as well. Thank you so much, Brent. It was lovely to be able to catch up with you again for another session at Fire by Live, and we hope to see you soon.
Well, thank you.